the distress signal commander, Sarah. Chun sat at her desk in the United Earth Command Station Alpha. The massive station floated in orbit around Mars, watching over humanity's growing space territory. Outside her window, the red planet spun slowly beneath them. It was a quiet morning in the year 2387, and Sarah was reviewing patrol reports with her coffee. Then the alarm started screaming. Red lights flashed across every screen in the command center. Officers jumped from their seats, fingers flying over keyboards. Sarah's coffee mug crashed to the floor as she stood up sharply. "What's happening?" She called out, already moving toward the main control panel. Lieutenant Min-jun burst through the door, his young face pale with shock. "Commander, we're receiving an alien distress signal. It's from the Zarkonian Empire." Sarah's heart skipped a beat. The Zarkonians were humanity's first true alien friends. They were peaceful traders who traveled the galaxy, sharing technology and knowledge with younger species. Every human child learned about them in school. "Put it on the main screen," Sarah ordered. The holographic display flickered to life. A Zarkonian appeared, tall, thin, with blue-scaled skin and forearms. The alien was clearly terrified. Behind him, explosions lit up the darkness. "This is Ambassador Zex of the Zarkonian Empire," the alien gasped. "We need help. The Zircon swarm is attacking our colonies. They're destroying everything. Hundreds of thousands are already dead. Please, if anyone receives this message." The transmission cut off in static dot. The command center went silent. Everyone knew about the Zircon. They were the galaxy's nightmare, brutal raiders who appeared from nowhere, destroyed entire civilizations, and took survivors as slaves. No one had ever beaten them in battle. Admiral Jung-hoon's voice boomed over the intercom. "All senior officers to the war room. Now." Sarah ran through the station's corridors. Other officers joined her, their boots thundering on metal floors. They entered the war room where Admiral Jung-hoon stood before a star map. The old soldier's scarred face was grim. "The situation is worse than we thought," Jung-hoon began. "The Zircon have hit 3 Zarkonian systems in the past week. Their main fleet is heading for the Zarkonian homeworld." Captain Seo Yan leaned forward. She was a veteran of the colonial wars, tough as steel. "How long until they reach it?" 6 days, maybe 7, Min-jun answered, pulling up calculations on his tablet. "The Zarkonian defense fleet is already destroyed. They have no chance." Sarah's fists clenched. She remembered the history lessons well. In 2350, a terrible plague had swept through Earth's colonies. Millions were dying. The Zarkonians had arrived with medical technology that saved humanity. They asked for nothing in return, only friendship. "We owe them everything," Sarah said quietly. "They saved us when we were dying." "It's not that simple," another officer argued. "The Zircon fleet is massive. We'd be sending our people to die." Seo Yan slammed her fist on the table. "So we just let our friends burn? The Zarkonians didn't hesitate when we needed help." Admiral Jung-hoon raised his hand for silence. He looked at each officer, then at the star map showing the distant battle zone. Everyone waited for his decision. 40 years ago, the Zarkonians saved 30 million human lives, Jung-hoon said slowly. "They taught us about the stars. They warned us about dangers in space. They treated us with respect when other species called us Deathworld primitives." He straightened up, authority radiating from every word. "Prepare the Deathworld fleet. All of it." The room erupted in motion. Officers ran to their stations, shouting orders. Throughout the station, alarms changed from warning red to battle gold. Sarah watched through the observation deck as humanity's most feared warships powered up. These weren't ordinary vessels. They were built using technology inspired by Earth itself, a planet other species considered a hellish death world, The battleship Wolverine came online first, its hull dark and scarred from countless battles. Then the Cobra, sleek and deadly. The Tiger, bristling with weapons. One by one, 50 warships awakened. Each was named after Earth's deadliest predators, and each was designed to be just as lethal. Engineers in thick suits ran final checks on the ship's armor. This armor was special, forged using techniques from Earth's volcanic foundries. It could withstand pressures that would crush alien vessels. The weapon systems were based on Earth's own violent nature: hurricanes, earthquakes, volcanic eruptions. Humanity had turned their dangerous homeworld into inspiration for war. In the docking bays, thousands of soldiers boarded the ships. Sarah noticed their faces, grim but determined. These were Earth's finest warriors, trained in gravity 3 times stronger than most aliens could survive. Their muscles were dense, their reflexes sharp from evolution on a world where everything tried to kill you. Min-Jun peered at Sarah's side with a communication pad. "Commander, we have Ambassador Zex on a secure channel." Sarah took the device. Zex's face appeared, exhaustion clear in his 4 eyes. "Commander Chun," Zex said, his voice shaking. "I must warn you. The Zircon are not like other enemies. They are monsters. They enjoy causing pain. They—" "Ambassador," Sarah interrupted gently. "We're coming. The entire Deathworld fleet is preparing to jump." Zex's eyes widened. "The Deathworld fleet? But that's your elite force. You're risking everything for us?" "You saved us once," Sarah replied. "Humans don't forget their debts. Or their friends." "You don't understand," Zex whispered. "The Zircon have destroyed species far older and stronger than humanity. They've never lost a battle." Sarah's expression hardened. "They've never fought humans before." Admiral Jung-hoon's voice echoed through the station. "All ships, prepare for hyperspace jump. Coordinates locked for Zarkonian space." Sarah strapped herself into her command chair aboard the Wolverine. Around her, her crew prepared for battle. These men and women had trained their entire lives for moments like this. "Admiral," the navigation officer called out. Jump drives charged and ready. Jung-hoon stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Apex Predator. His voice carried across the entire fleet. 50,000 years ago, our ancestors survived on a Deathworld using nothing but sticks and stones. We fought saber-toothed tigers. We hunted mammoths. We survived ice ages and plagues. We earned our place in the universe through blood and determination." He paused, letting his words sink in. "Today, we remind the galaxy why Earth is called a Deathworld. Today, we show them why humans are the apex predators of space. Today, we pay our debt to those who stood by us." "All ships," Sarah commanded from the Wolverine. "Execute jump." Space itself seemed to scream as 50 human warships tore open holes in reality. The Deathworld fleet entered hyperspace, racing toward a battle that would echo across the galaxy. The Zircon swarm was about to learn what every predator on Earth knew. Humans were persistence hunters who never gave up. As the stars blurred past her window, Sarah thought about the Zarkonian children hiding in shelters, waiting for death. She thought about the debt humanity owed. She thought about the reputation humans had earned as savage Deathworlders. "Good," she whispered to herself. "Let them think we're savage. They haven't seen anything yet." The fleet raced through hyperspace toward destiny. In 6 hours, they would exit at the edge of Zarkonian space. In 6 hours, the Zircon would meet humanity's fury, and the galaxy would learn why you never, ever threaten a human's friends. Asterisk first contact with horror. The human fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of Zarkonian territory. Sarah Chun gripped her command chair as the Wolverine shuddered back into normal space. What she saw through the view screen made her stomach turn. Death floated everywhere. Broken, Zarkonian ships drifted like corpses in the void. Some were split in half, their insides spilling out in frozen clouds. Others were burned black, still glowing with dying fires. Debris fields stretched for thousands of kilometers. Pieces of stations, civilian transports, and defense platforms all mixed together in a graveyard of metal and flesh. "My God," Minjun whispered from his station. His fingers trembled over his keyboard. "I'm detecting over 300 destroyed vessels. The life signs—" "There are no life signs." Captain Seo Yun's ship, the Viper, moved through the debris field carefully. Her voice came through the fleet communication. "This isn't just an attack. This is extermination. They're not taking prisoners. They're killing everyone." Sarah forced herself to stay calm. All ships, spread out, can scan for survivors. There might be escape pods or hidden shelters. "Minjun, can you detect anything from the planet?" The young lieutenant worked his controls frantically. Colony World Theta 5 appeared on their screens. Once it had been beautiful. Blue oceans, green continents, white clouds. Now huge black scars covered its surface where orbital bombardment had burned cities to ash. "Wait," Minjun shouted. "I'm getting something." A weak signal from the northern continent. It's a distress beacon, hidden in some kind of cave system. Before Sarah could respond, space itself seemed to ripple. A massive shadow fell across the human fleet. The Zircon mothership emerged from behind the planet's moon. A nightmare made real. The ship was wrong in every way. It was 3 times larger than the biggest human battleship, covered in organic-looking spikes that writhed like living things. Its hull wasn't metal, but something that looked like black bone, pulsing with red veins. Smaller ships swarmed around it like insects, thousands of fighter craft ready to kill. A communication channel opened without permission. The main screen filled with a face that would haunt Sarah's dreams. The Zircon commander was insectoid, with 6 eyes arranged in a circle and mandibles that clicked when he spoke. His name was Vithresh, and malice dripped from every word. "More prey has arrived." Vithresh laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "Your soft species will make good slaves. Those who survive anyway. Most of you will die screaming, like the Zarkonians did." Admiral Yung-hoon's voice cut across the fleet channel, steady as iron. "All ships, battle formation Delta 7. Don't let his appearance scare you. It's still just a ship, and ships can be destroyed." Sarah turned to her crew. "You heard the Admiral. Weapons hot, shields at maximum. Show these bugs what humans are made of." The Zircons struck first. Their fighter swarm launched like a black cloud, 10,000 small attack ships racing toward the human fleet. Each one was a blade-shaped horror, moving in perfect coordination like a school of piranha. "Point defense systems online," Sarah commanded. The human ships erupted in protective fire. Laser turrets swiveled and fired thousands of times per second. Missile pods opened, releasing swarms of micro-rockets. The space between the fleets became a storm of explosions and light, but the Zircon ships were strange. When human weapons hit them, their hulls seemed to absorb the damage, then heal within seconds. The organic armor rippled and reformed like living tissue. "Commander, our weapons aren't working," an officer reported. "Their armor is regenerating faster than we can damage it." Minjun's fingers flew across his station. "It's bioorganic technology. Their ships are partially alive. Standard weapons are like bee stings to them." The first Zircon fighters reached the human line. They latched onto the destroyer Badger like parasites, cutting into its hull with acid secretions. The Badger's crew fought back, but more fighters kept coming. Through all this chaos, another message came through, weak but desperate. Ambassador Zex's face appeared on a secondary screen. He was underground somewhere, surrounded by frightened civilians. Commander Chun, we have 300 survivors here, including children. The youngest is only 4 cycles old. The Zircon ground troops are hunting us. They're getting closer. Sarah's jaw clenched. Behind Zex, she could see Zarkonian families huddled together. Parents held their children, trying to keep them quiet. These weren't soldiers. They were teachers, traders, farmers. Innocent people about to be slaughtered. The planet's surface erupted in new explosions. The Zircon were bombing randomly, trying to collapse the cave systems and flush out survivors like hunters, smoking out animals. Admiral, Sarah called out, we need to split our forces. We can't win this fight and save the civilians with the same strategy. Jung-hoon's response was immediate. Agreed. Commander Chun, take half the fleet and engage the mothership. Captain Seo-yeon, your team runs silent and attempts extraction of the survivors. Move fast. We won't get a second chance. Sarah selected 25 ships for her battle group. All attack vessels. Form up on the Wolverine. We're going to buy our rescue team time, even if we have to ram these bastards ourselves. Seo-yeon's team of 25 ships activated stealth mode, their hulls shifting to match the background radiation of space. They began moving toward the planet, hoping to slip past the battle. The real fight was about to begin. The Zircon mothership turned its main weapons toward the human attack group. Beams of sickly green energy lanced out, each one powerful enough to crack a moon. The human ship Rhino took a direct hit. Its shields flared and died, but the ship kept moving. Its Deathworld armor, forged in pressures that would crush most alien ships, held firm even as it glowed white-hot. Return fire, Sarah ordered. Everything we've got. The human fleet unleashed hell. Nuclear missiles, railgun slugs, and plasma beams all converged on the Zircon mothership. Explosions bloomed across its organic hull, but just like the fighters, it began healing almost immediately. Min-jun suddenly sat up straight. Commander, I have an idea. Their bio-armor works like a virus, constantly adapting. But what if we could burn it faster than it can regenerate? Our volcanic pressure weapon systems, if I can recalibrate them to deliver concentrated heat like Earth's core. Do it, Sarah commanded. On the planet below, Seo-yeon's rescue ships were landing under heavy fire. Human marines in their environmental suits jumped out into air that would kill most species in seconds. The atmosphere was toxic, filled with methane and sulfur. But the marine suits were designed for Earth's worst environments, from crushing ocean depths to volcanic craters. The Zircon ground troops saw them coming and laughed. These invaders looked small, weak, wrapped in clumsy suits. Easy prey. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Back in space, Min-jun finished his modifications. Ready, Commander. Rerouting power from life support to weapons. This is going to be hot. Sarah nodded grimly. All ships, target the same point on their mothership. Concentrated fire on my mark. Let's show them what happens when you threaten our friends. The battle for Theta 5 had truly begun. In the caves below, Zarkonian children clung to their parents, waiting for salvation. In space above, humanity prepared to show why they were evolution's perfect warriors. Verthresh watched from his command throne, still confident. These humans were just another weak species to be conquered. He had destroyed dozens of civilizations. What could these soft mammals possibly do that the others hadn't tried? He was about to find out exactly what Deathworlders were capable of. Asterisk, the Deathworld Advantage Sarah Chun watched as the modified weapons fired. Beams of pure white energy, hot as Earth's core, struck the Zircon mothership. For the first time, the bio-armor couldn't regenerate fast enough. It bubbled and burned, turning black and flaking away like dead skin. "It's working," Min Jun shouted. "Their healing rate is dropping by 60%. But Sarah wasn't celebrating yet. She was beginning to understand something important. The Zircon had never fought beings from a Deathworld before. They didn't know what that really meant. Earth's gravity was 3 times stronger than most habitable planets. Humans had evolved under crushing pressure that would break alien bones. Their reaction times, sharpened by millions of years of dodging predators and catching prey, were faster than any spacefaring species the Zircon had encountered. "All gunners, switch to manual targeting," Sarah commanded. "Manual?" her weapons officer questioned. "But the computer systems are more accurate." "Not for humans," Sarah said firmly. "Our brains evolved to track moving targets while running from saber-toothed tigers. Trust your instincts." The gunners took manual control. Suddenly, the human hit rate jumped from 40% to 70%. Human eyes and reflexes, evolved for survival, proved better than the Zircon's computer predictions. On the planet's surface, Captain Seo Yun and her Marines had reached the cave entrance. The Zircon ground troops surrounded them, insectoid warriors twice the size of humans, with natural armor plating and forearms, holding plasma weapons. The Zircon commander on the ground laughed through his translator. "Stupid mammals. This atmosphere will melt your lungs. Your suits will fail in minutes." Sergeant Park stepped forward. He was a mountain of a man, even by human standards. He reached up and did something that made the Zircon step back in shock. He removed his helmet. The toxic air hit his face. His eyes watered. His throat burned. But he kept standing, kept breathing. The human body, evolved in Earth's toxic volcanic regions and plague-ridden jungles, adapted quickly. Nanobots in his blood, standard for all human soldiers, neutralized the worst toxins in seconds. Asterisk. "This," Park said, his voice rough but strong, "this is nothing. I trained in the sulfur fields of Iceland. My grandmother lived next to an active volcano. This air is practically fresh compared to home." He put his helmet back on and charged. The Zircon warriors, shocked by this display, hesitated for just a second. That was all the humans needed. The Marines moved with devastating efficiency, using combat techniques developed over thousands of years of human warfare. But it wasn't just their fighting that scared the Zircon. It was their endurance. Humans were persistence hunters. Their ancestors had hunted by simply following prey for hours, days even, until the animals collapsed from exhaustion. No other species in the galaxy had this ability. The Zircon soldiers, built for quick strikes, began tiring after just 10 minutes of combat. The humans kept coming, steady and relentless. Inside the caves, Seo Yan found the survivors. A young Zarkonian child named Texi saw the humans and screamed, not in fear, but in joy. "The Deathworlders came?" She cried in her language. "Mama, the Deathworlders came to save us." Her mother held her tight, tears flowing from all 4 eyes. Ambassador Zex approached Seo Yan, his voice shaking with emotion. "Captain, you shouldn't be here. The Zircon fleet will destroy you all." Seo Yan's face was grim, but determined. "Ambassador, with respect, shut up and let us work. Humans don't abandon their friends. Everyone, move. We have 3 minutes before more Zircon arrive." Back in space, the battle had turned into something the Zircon had never experienced. The human ships weren't just fighting. They were hunting. They used tactics from Earth's ancient naval battles, from submarine warfare, from aerial dogfights. Thousands of years of human combat experience, all adapted for space. The battleship Tiger demonstrated another human advantage. A Zircon cruiser had latched onto it with boarding tubes, ready to inject warrior drones into the human ship. The Tiger's captain simply laughed. "Increase rotation to maximum," he ordered. The Tiger began spinning on its axis, faster and faster. The gravity inside the human ship barely changed. Humans were used to variance. Their inner ears evolved for complex movement. But the Zircon boarding tubes and the warriors inside them were torn apart by forces they couldn't handle. Min Jun had been studying the battlefield data. "Commander Chun, I'm noticing something. The Zircon ships all move in perfect synchronization. It's like they're controlled by a hive mind." "So?" Sarah asked, dodging another energy beam. "So they can't adapt to chaos. They've never fought an enemy that thinks independently. Every human ship is making its own decisions, creating patterns too complex for them to predict." Sarah smiled coldly. "Then let's give them more chaos. All ships execute random attack patterns. No coordination. Fight like humans, dirty, unpredictable, and mean. The human fleet scattered, each ship choosing its own targets and tactics. The Wolverine rammed straight through a Zircon destroyer, its reinforced hull built to survive Earth's worst hurricanes. The Cobra released clouds of radioactive debris, creating a minefield that confused Zircon sensors. Admiral Jung-hoon watched the battle from his flagship. He remembered something his grandfather had told him. Humans aren't the strongest or the fastest, but we're the most stubborn sons of bitches in the universe. He opened a channel to the Zircon mothership. Verthresh's angry face appeared. "What kind of creatures are you?" The Zircon commander screamed. "You breathe poison. You shrug off gravity that crushes others. You fight without tiring. This is impossible." Jung-hoon's response was calm. "We're humans. We evolved on a planet where everything tried to kill us. The weather, the animals, the plants, even the microscopic organisms. We survived ice ages, supervolcanoes, plagues, and each other. We turned a Deathworld into our home." He leaned forward, his scarred face filling the screen. "And now we're here, in our ships built to survive Earth's worst storms, with our soldiers who think climbing mountains in blizzards is fun, with our pilots who learned to fly in hurricanes. You picked a fight with the wrong species." On the planet, Sergeant Park had been fighting for 30 minutes straight. The Zircon warrior facing him was exhausted, his 4 arms shaking. Park wasn't even breathing hard. "How?" The alien gasped through his translator. "How are you still standing?" Park grinned. "My ancestors hunted mammoths by chasing them for 3 days straight. My people crossed frozen oceans on foot. We climbed mountains just to see if we could. You want to know how I'm still standing? This is easy. This is nothing. I could do this all day." The evacuation was almost complete. Human Marines carried Zarkonian children on their backs, their powered suits easily handling the extra weight. The children, who had been terrified of the Deathworlders, now saw them as protectors. In space, the Zircon mothership was taking real damage for the first time in centuries. Its bioarmor was failing, unable to adapt to the volcanic heat of human weapons. Smaller Zircon ships were being picked off one by human pilots whose reflexes were simply faster. But the real shock came when the battleship Honey Badger lost half its hull to a direct hit. Any other species ship would have died instantly. The crew should have been dead. Instead, the Honey Badger kept firing. Its crew, working in emergency suits, manually loaded weapons when the automation failed. They sealed breaches with foam designed for underwater repairs. They rerouted power through cables they connected by hand. Verthresh watched in disbelief. They're still fighting? Their ship is dead. Why are they still fighting? His second-in-command's voice trembled. "Commander, I think we made a mistake. These aren't prey. These are apex predators." The rescue ships were lifting off from the planet, packed with Zarkonian refugees. Co Yin's voice came through the communication system. All survivors aboard. 312 souls saved. Returning to fleet. Sarah felt a surge of pride. This was why humans were special. Not just because they were tough, but because they used that toughness to protect others. All ships, prepare for Phase 2, she commanded. It's time to show these bastards what happens when you threaten our pack. The Zircon were about to learn the most important lesson about humans. They weren't just Deathworlders. They were Deathworlders who had learned to work together. And that made them the most dangerous species in the galaxy. Asterisk, turning the tide space lit up with a brilliant flash as new ships dropped out of hyperspace. Admiral Jung-hoon's reinforcements had arrived. The Titan Squadron, humanity's most advanced warships. These weren't just battleships. They were monsters of human engineering, each one carrying experimental antimatter weapons. Did someone call for backup? Came a cheerful voice over the communications. It was Captain Rodriguez, commanding the Titan ship Earthquake. Vathresh' compound eyes widened in horror as he saw the new arrivals. His sensors screamed warnings about the energy signatures. These ships were carrying enough firepower to crack small moons. Full retreat. Vathresh screamed to his swarm. Regroup at the asteroid field. We need to reconsider our strategy. Sarah Chun watched the Zircon fleet begin to pull back. Her eyes narrowed. After all the death they had caused, they thought they could just leave? Oh no, you don't, she growled. They asked for Deathworlders? Let's give them hell. All ships, pursuit pattern Alpha. Don't let a single one escape. The human fleet surged forward like wolves chasing wounded prey. But this wasn't mindless aggression. This was calculated psychological warfare, something humans had perfected over thousands of years of conflict. Min-jun had an idea. Commander, I've been analyzing their communication frequencies. What if we could broadcast something on their channels? Something to break their morale? What did you have in mind? Sarah asked. Min-jun's fingers danced across his keyboard. Every Earth culture has sounds that trigger primal fear. Sounds that say predator in a language older than words. Suddenly, across every Zircon communication channel, the sounds began. First, the deep rumble of a lion's roar. Then the howl of wolves, echoing and multiplying. The hiss of a cobra. The scream of an eagle. The guttural growl of a bear. To humans, these were just animal sounds. But to the Zircon, who had never encountered apex predators like Earth's, they were the sounds of nightmares. Their hive mind, connected across all ships, shared the fear instantly. Panic spread through their fleet like wildfire. Meanwhile, Captain Co Yeon's rescue ships had reached the main fleet. The Zarkonian refugees were being transferred to medical ships. Sarah watched on a monitor as human medics shared their supplies without hesitation. Food, water, medicine, even blood substitutes that humans had developed to be compatible with Zarkonian biology. Ambassador, Zek stood on the bridge of a medical ship, watching human doctors tend to injured Zarkonian children with the same care they would give their own. His 4 eyes filled with tears. Asterisk. Why? Zex asked Sarah over the communication link. Why do you risk everything for us? Your ships are taking damage. Your people are dying. We're not even the same species. Sarah's response was immediate and firm. Because that's what humans do. We protect our friends. We stand up to bullies. And we never, ever abandon those who need help. She paused, then added more softly, 40 years ago, your people saved millions of human children from plague. Today, we save yours. That's what friendship means? In the asteroid field, Vathresh was trying to reorganize his scattered forces. But Min-jun had another surprise ready. The young lieutenant had been busy hacking into the Zircon mothership's biological computer systems. Their systems are organic, like a giant brain, Minjun explained to Sarah. And you know what Earth has a lot of? Really nasty bacteria and viruses. I've created a digital version of Earth's most aggressive bacterial infection. You're giving their ship a disease? Sarah asked, impressed. Exactly. Uploading now. The virus spread through the Zircon bioships like a plague. Their organic hulls began to rot from the inside out. System after system failed as the infection spread. The beautiful, terrifying bioships began dying, their regeneration turning against them, creating cancerous growths instead of healing. Van Schess's mothership shuddered as the infection reached its core systems. He watched his perfect fleet, which had conquered dozens of civilizations, being destroyed by primitive mammals from a backwater Deathworld. In desperation, he decided on one final strategy. If he couldn't have victory, he would at least have revenge. All remaining ships. Verthresh commanded. Ignore the human fleet. Target the Zarkonian homeworld. We'll destroy it before we die. The communication reached the human fleet. On every screen appeared the coordinates. The Zircon were only 10 minutes from being in range of the defenseless Zarkonian homeworld, where billions of civilians lived. Admiral Jung-hoon's voice was steady but urgent. Titan Squadron, form a barrier between the Zircon and the homeworld. Whatever it takes, they don't get through. The 5 Titan ships moved into position. They were outnumbered 20-1 by the remaining Zircon forces. It would be a massacre. Captain Rodriguez of the Earthquake spoke to his crew. Well, folks, looks like we're the last line of defense. Anyone want to leave? His crew's response was unanimous laughter. That's what I thought, Rodriguez said with pride. Let's show these bugs what humans are made of. The Titan Squadron formed a wall in space. As the Zircon fleet approached, the human ships took hit after hit. The Earthquake lost its engines. The tsunami had half its weapons destroyed. The volcano was venting atmosphere from a dozen hull breaches, but they held the line. The destroyer Honey Badger, already missing half its hull from earlier battle, limped into position beside them. Its captain, Commander Thompson, was working the weapons console himself after his crew was injured. Honey Badger, you're in no condition to fight, Admiral Jung-hoon said. Thompson's reply became legend. Admiral, we're humans. We're always in condition to fight, especially when someone threatens innocence. The Honey Badger accelerated to full speed, its broken hull screaming in protest. It rammed directly into the lead Zircon cruiser, both ships exploding in a ball of antimatter fire. Thompson's last words echoed across the fleet. No one gets past us. No one. His sacrifice inspired the entire fleet. Human ships that should have retreated pressed forward. Crews that should have abandoned ship stayed at their posts. Engineers worked miracles, keeping weapons firing even as their ships fell apart around them. Minjun watched his screens, tears streaming down his face. Commander, the Honey Badger's sacrifice took out 3 Zircon cruisers. They've lost 30% of their remaining forces. Sarah nodded, her own eyes wet. And Thompson didn't die for nothing. All ships, everything we have. For the Honey Badger. For the Zarkonians. For humanity. The human fleet responded with fury. Ships with no shields left still fired. Pilots with no weapons left used their ships as rams. Marines in damaged suits still fought. This wasn't just a battle anymore. It was a statement. Humanity would not yield. Young. Texie watched from the refugee ship as the humans fought. She pulled out her drawing pad, a simple toy her mother had saved. With her 4 small hands, she began drawing the human ships with halos above them, like the guardian spirits in Zarkonian mythology. What are you drawing? Her mother asked. The angels, Texie said simply. The Deathworld angels who came to save us. Verthresh watched his fleet being torn apart. These humans weren't fighting like a military force anymore. They were fighting like cornered animals protecting their young. Every instinct in his species told him to flee. "Commander," his second officer said, voice shaking, "we've lost 60% of our forces. The infection has reached critical systems. If we don't retreat now, we'll lose everything." Verthresh looked at the human fleet. Damaged, broken, some ships held together by emergency force fields and determination alone. And yet they kept coming, kept fighting, kept protecting the weak. For the first time in his species' history, the Zircon swarm had met something more frightening than themselves, a species that would die before letting innocents suffer. "Send the retreat signal," Verthresh said quietly. "We cannot win against such madness." But Sarah Chun had other plans. As the Zircon tried to flee, she gave one more order. "Young-hoon, permission to execute Protocol Omega?" The Admiral's response was immediate. "Granted. Show them the fury of Earth." Sarah smiled coldly. The Zircon thought they had seen humanity at war. They hadn't seen anything yet. Protocol Omega was about to teach the galaxy a lesson. Never, ever threaten humanity's packed-out asterisk fury of the Deathworlders' retreat order had barely left his mandibles when the human response came. Sarah Chun's voice echoed across space on all frequencies, cold as Earth's polar ice. "You threatened genocide on this Arconian homeworld. You killed innocents. You took slaves. And now you think you can just leave?" She paused. "You wanted to meet Deathworlders. Now face our fury." Protocol Omega was humanity's last resort, dropping all safety limitations on their ships and weapons. Every human vessel began glowing red as their reactors exceeded safe limits. Their engines roared past redline, temperatures that would melt most ships' cores. The battleship Tiger's captain turned to his crew. "Remove all weapon safeties. Overcharge everything. If the guns melt, we'll ram them." Across the human fleet, the same orders echoed. Ships that should have exploded from the strain somehow held together through pure human engineering, and Wildat Minjun's fingers flew across his console. "Commander, I've cracked their navigation systems. They can't jump to hyperspace for another 10 minutes. Then they have 10 minutes to surrender," Sarah said. She opened a channel to Verthresh. "Last chance. Surrender now, face trial for your war crimes, and your species survives. Run, and we hunt you to extinction." Verthresh screamed in rage. "You're just another weak species. Just mammals who got lucky. We are the Zircon. We have conquered for 1,000 years. Sarah's response was calm. "And humans have been killing things stronger than us for 200,000 years. Your choice." The Zircon chose to fight. What happened next would be remembered across the galaxy as the moment humanity announced itself as a major power. The human ships moved like Earth's ancient pack hunters: wolves, lions, orcas. Coordinated, relentless, and absolutely merciless, the Cobra released its entire payload of nuclear mines, creating a field of death around the Zircon escape route. The Tiger and Wolverine coordinated a pincer movement, their overcharged weapons cutting through bioarmor like paper. But the real shock came when human Marines started boarding the Zircon mothership. Toxic atmosphere inside would kill most species in seconds. The gravity was crushing. The biowalls secreted acid that ate through normal suits. The Zircon crew waited confidently for the humans to die. Marine Captain Lee led the assault. His team moved through the toxic air like it was nothing. Their suits, designed for Earth's deep ocean trenches and volcanic environments, barely registered the hostile conditions. When a Zircon warrior's acid spray hit Sergeant Park, his suit sizzled but held. Park laughed. "My grandma's kimchi is more acidic than this." The Marines fought through corridor after corridor, their objective clear, reached the command center, and the slave holds dot in the slave holds, they found horrors. Thousands of beings from different species, many thought extinct, kept in stasis for centuries. The Zircon had been harvesting sentient species like cattle. Captain Lee's voice crackled over the comm. "Admiral, you need to see this. They've got kids in here, from species we've never even met. Some have been frozen for decades." Jung-hoon's voice turned to ice. "Save them all. Every last one." Back in the command center, Verthresh faced his worst nightmare. Sarah Chun stood before him, having transported directly to his bridge with a squad of humanity's finest warriors. The Zircon commander towered over her, his 6 arms each holding a weapon. "You're just another weak species," he screamed, firing all weapons at once. Sarah moved like water, her reflexes honed by evolution and training. She rolled under his fire, came up inside his reach, and did something that shocked everyone watching. She removed her helmet. The toxic air hit her immediately. Her eyes watered, her throat burned. But she stood tall, nanobots in her blood working overtime to keep her alive. "This is your killing air?" she asked, her voice rough but strong. "I've breathed worse in Los Angeles traffic. I've trained in sulfur mines. My species evolved, breathing volcanic ash and plague-filled air." She took a step forward. Verthresh stepped back. "We're not just another species," Sarah continued. "We're the species that looked at a Deathworld and called it home. We're the ones who split atoms for power, who drink poison for fun, who jump out of aircraft for sport. Another step forward. Another step back. We're humans. And you threatened our friends." Verthresh dropped his weapons. Around the command center, his officers did the same. The great Zircon swarm, terror of the galaxy, surrendered to a single human woman, breathing poison air with her bare face. The aftermath was swift. Human medical teams worked around the clock to revive and treat the freed slaves. Species that hadn't been seen for generations were reunited with their descendants. The galaxy watched in awe as humans, the savage Deathworlders, showed more compassion than most civilized species. Young Texi, the Zarkonian child, was invited aboard the Wolverine. She presented her drawing to Sarah. Humans with halos, protecting smaller beings with their bodies. "This is you," Texi said shyly. "Guardian angels from the Deathworld." Sarah knelt down to the child's level. "We're not angels, little one. We're just humans. And humans protect their friends." The Galactic Council convened an emergency session. The Zarkonian ambassador stood before the assembly of 100 species. "The humans answered our call without hesitation," Zex declared. "They lost ships, they lost people, but they never stopped fighting. They saved not just us, but species we didn't even know were still alive. I motioned that humanity be named protectors of the peaceful." The vote was unanimous. Admiral Jung-hoon accepted the title on behalf of humanity. "We don't want to be your warriors," he said to the assembly. "But if you're peaceful, if you're innocent, if you need help, call us. The Deathworld fleet will come." Before leaving Zircon space, humanity left a surprise. Automated beacons at every jump point, broadcasting in every known language. This space is under the protection of Earth. Those who come in peace, welcome. Those who come to harm others, beware. The Deathworlders are watching. 6 months later, Sarah stood on the bridge of the repaired Wolverine, looking at the stars. Min Jun approached with a report. "Commander, 3 more species have requested alliance treaties with Earth. They all say the same thing: they want the Deathworlders as friends, not enemies," Sarah smiled. "Good. The galaxy just learned an important lesson." "What lesson?" Min Jun asked. Sarah turned to face the stars, where somewhere out there, former slaves were reuniting with families, where the Zarkonians were rebuilding with human help, where the Zircon faced justice for their crimes. They learned what Deathworlder really means, she said. It doesn't mean we're savage or brutal. It means we survived everything our world threw at us and came out stronger. It means we can endure anything to protect others. It means we're too stubborn to let evil win. She paused, thinking of Thompson and the honey badger's sacrifice. It means we're humanity, and we protect our pack. Throughout the galaxy, the message spread. The humans had arrived. The Deathworlders were watching. And for the first time in 1,000 years, the peaceful species felt safe. Because everyone now knew a simple truth. You could try to fight the Deathworlders. You might even hurt them. But they would keep coming, keep fighting, keep protecting the innocent with a fury that no force in the galaxy could match. The age of human protection had begun. And somewhere in the void, other would-be conquerors heard the stories and made new. Plans that didn't include fighting the insane species from the Deathworld who thought breathing poison and fighting, until their ships fell apart, was perfectly normal. Earth had announced itself. The Deathworld fleet was ready, and the galaxy would never be the same. Asterisk.